America, the 1920s, a time where World War I has ended, PTSD is rampant, and the Kaiser is hiding out somewhere in the Netherlands. Our story follows the narrator, Nick Carraway, a vet who tutters down to New York City to become a Bond salesman, as was the style at the time. While there, old mate decides to rent a house on the Long Island island of West Egg, where he finds himself next to a massive mansion. This can be seen as the earliest definition of mogging in Western culture. The whole story takes place in the Roaring '20s, one of the main themes. Here, in the wake of the biggest war of all time, humanity decides to engage in some cheeky hedonism, not aware of the big sad that'll be coming in a few years. Regardless, it turns out this house belongs to a guy named Gatsby, a dude who has literally no impact on the rest of the story. Nick is the cousin of Daisy, a rich white girl who lives on the other side of Long Island, across the bay. Flaunty and full of cash money, Daisy's a bit of a ditz. However, she seems to have a good taste in men. She's married to the absolute Sigma male known as Tom Buchanan. Tom is built like a brick shithouse and takes no shit from anyone. He does whatever he wants, when he wants. Tom also embodies one of our other key themes of this movie, the concept of old money versus new money, or the consistent rivalry between those who inherit their money, like Tom, and those who are currently making their fortune anew in the 1920s. Having come to the island, Nick has a lunch date at Daisy and Tom's mansion, where he finds that the whole Kardashian TV lifestyle was done nearly 100 years before Kimmy and Co started making bank. We're also introduced to Jordan Baker, a golfer who's probably on steroids. I don't fucking know. I fail to see the point of her in this story. Over the next few days, Nick starts to find his roots in NYC, only to find some blonde dude on the mansion balcony next door watching him. Fearing that this is another FBI sting operation, Nick prepares to burn his hard drives full of questionable stimulated material. Before he can, he gets a visit from Chad Buchanan. Tom decides to teach Nick how to be a manly man, and brings him to NYC, where he meets Tom's mistress, Myrtle. She lives in the Valley of Ashes, a massive ash pile of burning ties with her husband, George Wilson, the mechanic slash cuck. Fun fact, in the Aussie version of this novel, all references to the Valley of Ashes were replaced with the term Broad Meadows to make it more relatable to local audiences. Nick, Tom and Myrtle have a massive party, and Tom delivers an Old Faithful to Myrtle while Nick passes out. When he wakes up back home, he gets an invitation to the mansion next door. He goes to the party and gets absolutely taken aback by the proceedings. At Gatsby's mansion, it's like Schoolies, except with less... Yeah, nah, correction, it's exactly like Schoolies, what I'm on about. Nick meets up with that Jordan chick again, but who cares, we're finally introduced to this Gatsby lad. But sensing this dude is the type of guy who owns a body pillow, Nick decides to leave the party. Not to be deterred, Gatsby goes out for lunch with Nick the next day, where Nick changes his opinion of him. Again, this Jordan Baker chick meets up with Nick, where she reveals Gatsby's backstory. He isn't really a businessman, but a bootlegger. Like a meth dealer moving his family from a trailer to a 4-bedroom apartment, Gatsby is a living embodiment of the American dream. Another key theme of the story. Gatsby's whole backstory is kind of surprising to me, because I was under the impression at this point that he'd either been selling V-Bucks or bootleg trading cards. Also, it's worthwhile noting that Gatsby knew Daisy from before the war. When he came back, he found that she'd moved on, so he decided on a simple course of action. He tracks her down, moves in across the bay, and spends millions of dollars throwing parties every night for the sole purpose of attracting her attention. This is a key example of another theme: simping. Specifically, how Gatsby is the biggest possible definition of this in history. Okay, can we just pause right here and just so I can say f this dude, alright? I mean, if I had that much money, I'd probably waste it, not gonna lie. I'd just completely decimate it. I'm a useless, incompetent individual, okay? But him, this dude is spending Elon Musk levels of money, like f you money, okay, on the equivalent of a high school crush. Like, Americans are weird, man. Like, you've tracked her down, you've moved in across the road, across the bay, whatever, and you're spending multiple millions of dollars per weekend in order to attract a minuscule amount of her attention with the hopes of her coming over to you. When you could have just walked across the road and gone, knock, knock, hey, it's me, babe, what's going on? Every night, Gatsby stares at the green dock light Daisy brought from Bunnings, which he feels represents the hope of being with her again. Somehow though, the scheme actually works, as Gatsby and Daisy reunite and have an affair, and Nick is drawn into the web of lies. And it happened just like that, like dead simple, okay? He's wasted God knows how many millions of dollars, and all he had to do was just go up there, say, hey, remember me? And she just ditches her family like that, no questions asked. Look, at this stage, I got tired of the plot. I just went, you know what? I'm going to try and use this law of attraction myself. I'm going to become the next Jay Gatsby. I'm going to throw myself a party, and hopefully I can attract a waifu. And it didn't work, so... Eventually, Gatsby wants her to come away with him, so in typical American fashion, everyone gets invited to a massive party where Daisy and Gatsby plan on dumping Tom publicly. Like, they don't just plan to simply pull Tom to the side and say, hey, Chief, you know, It's not working. I love some dude I met years ago. Now we'll bring everyone we know to dinner and make a toast in front of them, where we tell you publicly so everyone can listen as they stare awkwardly at their soup. But when they get there, Tom's absolute chat energy brings Daisy back into loving him, and they both tell Gatsby to fuck off. Annoyed, Gatsby and Daisy flee home in Tom's car, only to send Myrtle over the dashboard when she thinks Tom's driving and runs in front of the car. Everyone freaks, but using his Sigma male grind set, Tom takes control of the situation by telling Myrtle's depressed husband that Myrtle was doing Gatsby and that he killed her on purpose. Sensing a victory royale close to hand, George goes over to Gatsby's and checks his vibe. As Gatsby dies, America starts to fall into a depression. Daisy and Chad Buchanan get away with everything and flee, and Jordan flies off to take experimental HGH, while Nick is left to wonder what the fuck just happened.